Hello, everyone. Bill Adams, Realtor, Coldwell Banker Realty. Hey, I'm excited to be here today with Stephen Barber. Stephen is the president of Unintentional Life Insurance Services. Stephen, welcome.
Bill, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm really excited about this because when I spoke to you the other day, I was amazed as to what the nature of your business is. So please share it with our fans.
Yeah, that's typically the response I get. Basically, what it is we created an insurance product that didn't exist in the market. So we found what we felt was like a missing segment or a neglected segment and created a product specifically for it. So what we do at Unintentional Life is we partner with medical clinics, namely urology and gynecology, and we insure their permanent birth control patients, so their vasectomy patients, their lingual or tube type procedure patients, in case of the rare event that they end up having a child at some point down the road post procedure. So at this time, there really was nothing for those patients when this happened. And although it's like a very unlikely event, in really rare case, the point is that nothing is 100% effective. And it seemed like I went through the process of getting a vasectomy. That's really kind of what led to all of this. And it seemed like everyone I talked to either knew someone personally or knew someone who had a kid post procedure. And we got into what that looked like for them, how it kind of threw what an exciting time that was, we'll call it, right? Finding that information out. And then I originally have a finance and banking background, so I started looking into, okay, well, how do I protect myself from that? What happens to my retirement? What happens to, our financial plan if that ever happened one day? And realized there was nothing there. So I just began vetting the process of, well, how can I protect not only myself but then other people? And started vetting insurance companies, and we, 2-year process. Was able to create a product, and we just launched it here in Arizona of October of 2023. Yep. So really a lot more than I thought ever going into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you pretty much answered my follow-up question as to how did you get into the business, and a very personal entree into the business for you.
Yeah.
So along the way, as you developed this idea and started the business, there had been some memorable experiences, I'm sure. Particular one you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, most notably, the things I like to talk about the most of it is talking to attorneys. They're always fun to talk to, and they're not known for really doing anything for free, not hating on any attorneys out there. But I would call some, start not knowing where to start. I just started with regulatory attorneys here in Arizona to see what does this process look like. How do you introduce and create a new insurance product, and would have the little 15-minute consultations, and sure enough, every single time, once they heard the idea and wheels were cranking and ideas were coming, and these conversations would last over an hour. And again, like, it all started as a consultation. I'm like, hey, I think this is cool. I have a lot of ideas. Let's book a time. It's rare something new came out in this industry. And so it's just idea after idea. And then that attorney was, thinking like, oh, this is bigger than here. You want to, get incorporated or maybe reach out to attorneys in this other state that most insurance companies and banks are started at. So talk to those attorneys. And so I would talk to those attorneys, and that phone call turned into in an hour. And again, I get a call a few minutes later from those same attorneys saying like, hey, we were just talking about you after we got the call, and we think, you should work with a firm that can take this nationwide and things like that. And we've already put an introduction into the firm. Is called Westmont Associates that in New Jersey that actually helped me create this product and make sure that it was compliant for state insurance commissions and things like that. And we got you at the appointment with the CEO there. He's a good friend of ours, and it's a nationwide firm. So someone like me who wouldn't know where to start in that industry probably would never even get this guy on the phone, right? And they took it upon themselves to set an appointment with me, and that was kind of like the catalyst that was like, okay, this has legs. Like, I was talking to people to see if this is even doable, and there's this much excitement from attorneys that there has to be something there, and it turned into it from an idea to let's run with it and see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. To get people captivated with your, in a conversation with you, and then pick it up and running with it themselves. So I'm sure there's tons of challenges starting any business, but what in particular are you finding your challenges are?
Educating the market, hands down. I mean, it's a new insurance product, and I'm calling the authorities of the industry that I am trying to introduce something into. I'm calling obviously urologists and gynecologists and associations, and trying to explain to them, like, hey, I have created a new product for your industry. I'm trying to bring innovation there, better protect you, the clinic, better protect your patients, and to get someone who answers the phone to pause for 2 seconds and from a million other things that they have going on their on their plate right then, and have them understand I'm not talking to them about maybe patient insurance that I want you to offer or take our type of insurance so that people can have these procedures, but that it's a patient protection to protect a patient financially if this thing should happen, to get people to hear that and then to ask more probing questions or allow me to come in and actually talk to the doctors about it is the biggest challenge there. Once I get into the doctors, it's really well received. People love the idea of protecting patients, right, and limiting their own liability, limiting their risk of someone potentially needing to sue them for money to raise this kid, or even having to fight that lawsuit. And that way, like, oh, okay, you can provide and you can give somebody the help they need. Great. Their biggest challenge, these clinic owners, is working together with me and my team and them and their team to be able to present this product in a way that doesn't make it seem like everything else they told them about how safe this procedure is, how effective this procedure is, was not truthful or a lie, because now they're offering this insurance product on the back end,
Right.
And so, basically what we ask our clinics to do is really to partner with us, not just be a flyer on the table, and include this coverage in the service, so that every single person who goes through and has this procedure done is given this coverage. And the way I explain to the doctors is, that is standing behind your work. You're letting them know, like, hey, it's going to take an act of God to get pregnant or to get somebody pregnant once this procedure is done. But even if you are blessed with that miracle, if this happens to you 8, 9, 10 years down the road, we also want to make sure that miracle is provided for. You know what I mean? And really, at the end of the day, regardless of how much the patient gets or how the doctor's protected, what this is meant to do is make sure that those children who are born to these parents who we know aren't planning on it, who aren't saving for it, have the money they need in order to be able to make sure that child is provided for. And once they actually take the time to hear that, they're like, no brainer, makes sense.
So your clients that have bought your product at this point, what kind of feedback are you getting from them?
So again, we just launched in October of 2023, made our first phone calls and things like that. So, I mean, we have a handful of policies out right now, only in Arizona. The people that have purchased the policies are people that I spoke with or worked with as part of the process of building this, and then just different networking groups and just constantly talking about my business, getting it out there, and people being like, oh, I've had that procedure done. That was my that's a concern that my wife and I still have to this day. We joke with each other about when we are doing our thing, like, oh, how crazy would it be if this happened? Or people would tell me they had I was in one group of 25 people, business people in the community, and again, in this like 1 in a million chance that it's going to happen, this little group of 25 people, a lady stood up and was like, where was this coverage at 8 years ago? Because I will tell you all here, a tuberal reversal, she knew the exact, professional or medical lingo for it. She's like, Israel, I got pregnant after my husband had a vasectomy, and yeah, the doctor did everything right. It was an act of God, and there's nothing anyone could do for us. So we love our child, but we're raising him on our own, and luckily we can afford it. But she's like, it's a real thing. And there were 2 other gentlemen in that group that both have had a vasectomy procedure, and they're like, we'll talk more after the meeting, right? But they're grateful. The biggest positive feedback I get is how inexpensive the premium is, because it's such a rare event. I mean, it really is an unlikely event that's going to happen. You just never know who or when it's going to happen to, and it's nothing more life-changing than having a child at any point in your life. It changes your life for life. That's why I just think it's so important that it is at least provided for people. But the policy premium is a one-time payment of $300, and that's it. Wow. And you're covered in case it ever happens. So people, is that annual, their monthly things, like, no, it's one time, really, because it is an unlikely event. We want to make sure that it was affordable and that it was easy for people to be able to either purchase on their own or for offices to be able to include it in their procedures. Yeah. So that was important to us.
Just a few months of coffee drinking.
To some people, it's a couple of weeks. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, hey, tell me, what motivates Stephen?
That's a hard question. A lot. I originally, coming up in the finance industry, I had big dreams of working on huge deals and wanted to just make a name and do something really unique or exciting. But as I've gotten older, once I got to my mid-30s and now that I'm 40, really just doing something that I care about, and making sure that I have time in my life to do the things that I want to do also. So I really just wanted to start this when I realized this is what I wanted to do, because I already knew what it was like to walk into offices and do sales and do things like that, and how that world works. So I was like, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it for myself, and I want to be able to grind for myself, and then be able to do something with my kids or my family if something comes up last minute or when I want. So really being able to spend time with them is what it comes down to now. I just have to make sure that we can still pay the mortgage also. So that's why we're just putting in all the time and effort in now, and hoping that this was a good way to go.
Yeah. Great. So time and effort, energy, building a business, doing what I would refer to as missionary work, educating the marketplace on a product that was never heard of before. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy. So what does Stephen do for Stephen? What do you do for fun?
I start my day every day at the gym. I go work out every morning, and I'm normally listening to some sort of sports podcast or music, but I just make sure I kind of just get into my own zone. I like a lot of podcasts or books, so I'm not listening to music a whole lot. Like most people, I normally I'm watching some sort of either sports show or listening to a podcast, and then just take that time in the morning to kind of get my thoughts together, make sure I feel good, and then the rest of the day is grinding away, making sure I'm spending my time effectively, so that once those kids are home, I have 4, and 3 of them are at the age where there's gym and or like gymnastics and cheer and baseball and everything else that goes along with it, and I want to be the one taking them to those things and sitting there and watching my girl do her tumbling and things like that. So if I have to pull my laptop back out once everyone is down for the night, then I do that. But I like being there and like watching them get better, not just going to the games or to the tournaments, but like seeing the work that they're putting in for practice and everything.
Yeah. Well, that's great. It sounds like you have a great balance, particularly with all the work and energy and time that building a business takes. Yep. But you carve out time for yourself and, more importantly, for family.
I try.
All right. Well, Stephen, it was a pleasure.
Bill, this was great. Thank you so much.
Spending time with us today.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Thank you for what you do for everybody.
Hey, folks. If you personally don't have a need, I'm sure you know people that can benefit or at least be interested in what Stephen is offering out there. It's something unheard of. It's unique. Reach out or have them reach out to Stephen. All his information is on the profile page with this interview. Thank you for joining us today. This is Bill Adams Coldwell Banker Realty.